Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Success Sampath interacting with you. Right. Do you want to become IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS? Ladies and gentlemen, we Unacademy with top educators of India and meticulously designed quality content. We have been waiting for you. We have been waiting for you to shape you, especially so that you realize your dream, goal, you become leader in your own capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, once you enroll yourself in an academy, you will undergo a great learning experience. An academy, India's largest and the best online education platform. What are all the benefits you are likely to get once you enroll yourself in an academy? Ladies and gentlemen, if that's going to be your question, of course, you've got, daily live classes and you can chat with your educator. And you can also engage in all-round productive discussions. You can also ask all your genuine doubts and participate in the answer polls. All these things you can do when the session's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, you got structured courses here. Yes, it's completely based on UPSC Civil Services Examination pattern and syllabus as well, so that we ensure you never get deviated from the expected framework. You don't waste your time and energy, right? We ensure that way. We keep on emphasizing one important point. You might be well aware, it's not knowing the stuff, knowing to deliver the stuff. Delivery matters. Yes, for that, we've got a mechanism. It's not only delivery matters we are emphasizing. It's not what you deliver, rather, how do you deliver? The mechanism we have in such a way to evaluate your various levels of, the preparation by conducting regular mock tests and also quiz programs. And you get detailed analysis based on your performance. We told you already, once you enroll yourself in an academy, you got unlimited access, more than 1 million videos, that for which you are, you will be given accessibility. Because whatever may be your electronic device, whether it is laptop, whether it is mobile phone, even desktop, you can learn from anywhere, anytime, irrespective of your electronic device. Yes, that's that way. It is German, that what you have to do, please download Unacademy learning app immediately, whether it is Android or iOS. Once you download, you are ready to access all those benefits we enlisted in front of you. Who is this interacting with you? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Success Sampath from Chennai, with unique experience of, that got exposed to the fields of engineering, management, and legal education. With 25 years of experience in the field of coaching, especially shaping the careers of civil service aspirants, with my team, that I could witness the humble results. Of course, 250 plus results. All my kids are working in different parts of India as IAS, IPS, IRS, and IFS, and some of them in abroad as well. You can also ask me the question, what's your vision, sir? I understand. That's your question. Of course, to provide career solutions by enabling youths of India to begin with, later to embrace the global community, because we are part of the solution. Hope you understand. Ladies and gentlemen, that if you want to reach me, you can also reach me through Telegram channel or YouTube channel using my ID, say Sampath or Success Sampath, even Sampath Iruvengidam, and a lot of videos already available on the part of Unacademy platform, of course, YouTube channels. You can watch whether it is optional subject sociology or your the essay paper or your international relations. Even on the part of that when you download the app also, you will witness, once you access, subscribe, you will get that umpteen number of videos on the part of mine. You will come to know, as I told you, it's not me alone. Yes, and the purpose is great. You need a team spirit. Of course, more than 100 plus top educators of India, we on the part of an academy, we are supporting you and waiting for you so that you realize your dream goal. Ladies and gentlemen, under UPSC Civil Service Examination, we've got, of course, two major programs. One is Plus program, another one is Iconic program. What is Plus program? Yes, you got advantages like this. You got everyday live classes, test series, unlimited practice sessions, and also you got structured schedule mechanism. Choose what suits you. Yes, it's totally depending on the availability of your time, and also that the budget. You can choose programs here, whether it is subject specific module or prelims combines integrated program, that for GS or for optional subject, ladies and gentlemen, from 1 month to 36 months, we got a program here. You can choose accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, please use my referral code, say success, because this is success Sampath interacting with you, that to avail maximum 10% discount. And more than this, plus program, we strongly emphasize iconic program. You might be well aware. Here too, you got, that 1 year program or maximum 3 years program. That what is the specialty on the part of iconic program? If that's your question, of course, here you got, a personal mentor, a personal coach will be allotted to you, who will understand your nature and suggest study planner accordingly. And also will train you in terms of everyday answer writing practices, and you will be given your personalized feedback based on that particular understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, that here too, that you get program prelims, mains, or subject specific module. Even, of course, you talk about the very optional subject. Please use my referral code, say success, to avail maximum 10% discount. Ladies and gentlemen, technically speaking, that you end up paying mere 80 to 100 rupees if you calculate in terms of per day basis. Not even the the expenditure towards your evening snacks, but you ensure your career parallelly. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is right time. Of course, not only that, all the popular optional subjects for which we extend our support on the part of Unacademy platform, well, and also that I repeat once again, from 1 month to 36 months, for which you got program here, from 5K to maximum 90K for which you got course here. In spite of that, please use my referral code, say success, to avail maximum 10% discount. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is right time. Let me take you to the very purpose and direction of our today's interaction. This is right time. Welcoming you once again to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we already that it is in continuation of the various previous videos. Also, you might be aware, you would have already watched. Some of that yet to watch, please go through and watch. It is centered around that one of the main optional subject, very scoring and popular optional subject called sociology. You got various videos, whether you talk about that the grand strategy to score more than 450 plus out of 500, or various perspectives on the part of sociology, or basic concept series on the part of sociology. Even we took you to the level of various thinkers, of course, global thinkers, Karl Marx, Max Weber, Emile Durkheim, Talcott Parsons, Archimedes, even G.H. Mead. When I said that the very perspectives, the major perspectives, macro perspectives especially, we spoke that structural functionalism and conflict school of thought. Even micro perspective on the part of sociology, symbolic interactionism, that's going to be the future of sociology. But all these things we have already the discussed, and the videos are already available on the part of Unacademy YouTube. Please watch that. The people, if at all you missed. And not only that, other subjects also, SC, that international relations, you got videos there. I said, sociology is highly scoring. Not only that, it's very popular. Why? Because you're in touch with that subject. You are living with that particular subject. Because society is in you. You are part of the society. I'm not going to teach anything new to you in the name of, subject matter called sociology, because you know everything. It is cheating, frankly speaking. It's a drama because you know everything. Because the family into which you are born, when you attain, of course, the particular age, you enter into marital relationship. Of course, your social contract with another family. You got your own relatives, you call kinship. You would have, that already visited, educational institutions in the name of schools, colleges, of course. You would have enjoyed your adult franchise, of course, the political institution. And of course, that how to generate, resources for your family and for yourself needs, your investment aspect, whatever may be. Of course, you talk about your role of economic institution. Of course, your identity. People would have questioned you in various social occasions, what the caste you belong to, what the religion you belong to. Of course, your gender, your age, your ethnicity. You call, all these things are, part and parcel of the subject matter called sociology. Of course, you may not be knowing this is belonging to a subject matter called sociology, but you're living with that, you're practicing it. Otherwise, they could be called as social institutions to represent the various social needs on the part of society, or to represent various aspects of society, you call put together. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to that the subject matter. Of course, the mains very popular and scoring subject matter called sociology. What is sociology? It is study about society. It is a science of society. You can ask me, what is society? It's not mere people, ladies and gentlemen. It's more than that. Something existing among the people, the system or network of social relationships put together, which you ultimately call, that the society. A clear-cut example may be the whole humanity, the human society, not animal society. Of course, we've got the point of difference between we human society on the one hand, animal society on the other. What is that? The culture. Of course, that is said to be the way of life, style of life, which is said to be the blueprint of the society. So this, that society, you make study over that particular society. You can also ask me parallelly, what is the difference between this sociology and anthropology, sir? Of course, their focus is on primitive society, whereas sociology is making, that it's study on the modern society, especially in the light of various revolutions happen in the Europe, how the modern society came into existence. It is in response to various revolutions happen at the end of 18th century, the Europe, the French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, Technological Revolution, Commercial Revolution. Right. Our focus on modern society, whereas anthropology, that's focus on primitive society. You might be aware. Of course, society, you understand the difference. So, sociological subject matter, of course, the society is our laboratory. How do you study? How do you make study over society? Systematically, scientifically. You also understand, you make study over society taking into account various aspects of the society. That's called integrated study. That's why the very report, that the very, generalizations you arrive at after your study is said to be very precise, very accurate. There are so many guys, the guys waiting for your report. They could be called, that social worker, social reformer, legislators, planners, people part of international organization, regional organization, even judiciary, media people, civil society. Why? It's very precise, accurate. Why? The very byproduct of sociology, you might be aware, it is German, which is called objectivity, even value neutrality, you call. And there are differences between objectivity and value neutrality also. You please watch my previous video. Why? You never take sides, because you know two sides of a single coin, so that you understand the truth of every phenomenon. Of course, you call it that way, ladies and gentlemen, because you never get influenced, you never get biased, because in sociology you got perspective. Structural functionalism school of thought, which says society as a system which has got its own order, stability, cohesion. But whereas you got another school of thought that's called conflict school of thought, that gone to the extent of saying history of either all existing societies full of struggle. The change is the core principle of conflict school of thought. The change by radical revolution. Why the revolution? Because of simmering discontent, inherent contradictions, the conflict, the struggle, because which has got its own root in exploitation. Haves trying to exploit the have-nots. On the one side, you look at society as if a system with order. On the other side, you see a society which is, that vulnerable to change. Otherwise, change is permanent. You understand? You address two aspects of a single phenomenon. That is why objectivity, even the cultural relativism, another concept where you also see nothing is absolutely correct, nothing is absolutely wrong in this world. The context decides what is right, what is wrong, because that everything changes spatially, place to place, temporally, time to time. Of course, this is enough, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the sociology, it's the subject matter you call society. Scientific study, systematic study, integrated study. Please watch all my previous videos. You will get more information. I think that brief introduction is enough, which is said to be, that why it's, that very popular, because you are familiar with the subject. You know everything. My responsibility, the duty is to connect with your understanding the so-called nomenclatures part of sociology, to link with all those thinkers, to link with all those case studies, to link with all those perspectives. Otherwise, you know everything. My role is to connect your understanding. Otherwise, to give formalization to your understanding, to give shape to your understanding. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, that I'm not doing great job here in front of you. my role is very simple, but you are going to do wonderful tasks in the world. Much in store awaiting you there. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way we are talking about. Yes, this subject matter sociology we are calling. It is also scoring. Why? That it's because of that. You understand. That once you understand the basic keywords, perspectives, you are capable because we have supply technology. We supply technology. We train you in such a way. We supply the strategy too. And not only scoring 450 plus out of 500, it is possibly because I am qualified, because I could score wonderful marks in this sociology. Even my kids, that could score fantastic marks. That's why their offices in different parts of India. You want to join that particular club? Welcome to Unacademy once again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Success Sampath interacting with you. Of course, I said it's not only scoring in sociology. More than sociology, even in optional, that apart from that optional subject, even in general studies, say paper 1 GS you are talking about, where the society, you can also score good marks. Even in ethics paper, all case studies are otherwise called social issues. You're going to provide ethical solution closely related to society. Of course, sociology will help you more than other social sciences. You'll come to know. And also the essay, if you take into account various previous years questions, that you can group them under 8 categories, domains. Of course, one of the domains happen to be society and culture. Once you prepare for sociology, you need not prepare for essay. And also when you go to the UPSC, of course, that the mains, that second part, interview, the oral interview, most of the questions, of course, you are asked to take your stand. Decision, it should be well balanced. There comes the support of sociology. You never take sides. Why? Even in the mains written, you got a lot of questions like that. What do you understand? What's your opinion? Where do you stand? Or comment. There also, that you have to arrive at some decision. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way we are talking about. Of course, it is right time, that we gave you brief, that introduction. Sociology, the most popular and scoring. Of course, why the today's topic? Of course, the education, how it is responsible for bringing change in society. You call social change, especially in India. That is the context, that how it is relevant to our civil service examination preparation. We are going to connect you. And also, that the very change in society, how we are going to little bit elaborate about it. And also the education as a social institution. What is, that you call it is a social institution. It should have its own structure. It should have its own function. We are going to prove. And also how this educational institution, the education as an agent of social change in India. Because that we already witnessed constitution, law, how they are responsible for bringing change in Indian society. Even how the Green Revolution responsible for bringing changes in Indian society. Culturally, structurally, functionally, same way today, education as an agent or a tool responsible for bringing change in India, culturally, structurally, functionally. And also, that no doubt, that you also see then and there sociologists and different perspectives. Parallelly, I'll also expose you to, that some of, that fantastic, of course, that relevant to core relevance, of course, the sociologists on this particular unit, of course, education and social change. It's not unit, it's a topic only. It's got to be brief, that interaction. I understand, ladies and gentlemen, because it's your Diwali celebration, session. It's not going to be 3 hours. Of course, it will be around 1 to 1.5 hours. You might be well aware, that it is in continuation of the previous sessions. You might be aware. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is what our, the content of today's interaction. I think let me take you, the brief, the very sociology we introduced you. It's highly scoring and also very popular. Because why? Because your familiarization facilitating it. And not only that, the very context, the relevance of this, that interaction today. Why? It's because it is part of the syllabus. Education and social change, this title. You had, the twice question, 2014 and 2017. It is part of, the paper 2 of your, sociology main subject, that the syllabus, paper 2, Indian society, structure and change, especially the very social change in India. Part C section, you got visions of social change. We already discussed this particular, the topic you might be aware. And this topic we are going to discuss, education and social change. How? You just see the previous question so that you become directed how the questions are asked. What is that? Education is often viewed, the previous year questions I'm saying, already as part of UPSC mains written, the optional subject, sociology. Education is often viewed as an agency of social change. However, in reality, it could also reinforce inequality and conservatism. Yeah, India is a country, when you talk about social change, you witness both. On the one side, we are getting modernized. On the parallelly, we are getting traditionalized also. One Indian girl, working in US administration, that she is not ready to remove her gounder caste. Are you aware? I'm not against any caste identity. It's not only here in North India, everybody with that affiliation, caste affiliation. In spite of the education, people running after identity, affiliation, you might be aware. Yes, we're talking about that. There, of course, that the conservatism, not ready to give up the past. Of course, the traditional identity. You hear that news, na? Part of US administration, and she's, the part of, that controlling, the very Corona there in the US administration, you might be aware. Yes. On the one side, we are getting modernized. On the other side, we are getting, that parallelly traditionalized. Modernization and traditionalization parallelly working in India. And that is going to be the mindset. That's clear-cut example. Even while sending, that I told you already this particular example, I feel. While sending, that a satellite through rocket, through ISRO, we used to break coconut. Hmm? The ritual ceremonies. After all, that the belief system, faith system, a particular time is located in such a way. Yes, India, a secular country, not irreligious. The reason is more than religion, you say, through various Supreme Court judgments. But of course, you understand that way, that. So the education is often viewed as an agency of social change. The change towards what? The change with the direction, change with purpose, you call. And of course, that however, in reality, it's parallel. It could also reinforce inequalities and conservatism. We are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. And also, there is another question, that of course, write a note on education and equality in India. How education is responsible for bringing equality. The guaranteed education may not give you guaranteed equality. Very clear-cut example in West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, the Muslim women are educated, but they never take part in the economic activities production process. The low status of women. That may not guarantee you. Recently, Saudi Arabia found women can also drive. They gave driving licenses. You might be well aware. That is the notion we're talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, education may not guarantee you equality. Of course, but it promoted equality of opportunity and also brought equality. Parallelly, we see some, case studies also. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about, to make you understand the question. I have not answered the question, of course, well. So you should understand how the questions are asked in UPSC Civil Services Examination. That's the very purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you. What is social change? Change in society. The change in Indian society, of course, Indian community, that is what our focus, because we are discussing a topic under, the paper 2. How the change, that this may be, this diagram, of course, the picture may be depicting you, that you are undergoing cultural change. You are colored. It is that way. It's not structural change, that maybe the change in role when you address maybe functional change. You talk about, of course, ladies and gentlemen. So, generally speaking, change in society, change in Indian society especially, that change in Indian community, how structurally, when you address the change in terms of social institutions, it's called structural change. When you address changes in terms of culture, way of life, style of life, it could be called, the culture, maybe value system changes, faith, belief, social norms, everything you talk about. Maybe the change in functionality, change, the social consequences when it is promoting social order or weakening social order. Accordingly, it could be called functional change, maybe functional or dysfunctional. In the modern day world, of course, that the caste is dysfunctional to the society, but it was functional those days due to judgment system, because that was completely based on division of labor. That was way of life also. But modern day world, you suspect people. Because why? The casteism, the ill effects of casteism is dysfunctional. As long as you have community interest, nothing wrong. The moment you enter into, that for the sake of your community, when you try to, that destroy other communities, there comes problem. Of course, we talk about, the changes that could be functional or dysfunctional. You might be well aware. So the change in Indian society could be in terms of structural or cultural, functional. Otherwise, if you want to see in terms of, maybe sentence, Social change is defined as change in values, ideology, maybe part of culture, change in institution, maybe structural change in structure put together. It could be macro or micro. Macro level structures at the level of social institutions, micro level in terms of interrelationship between statuses and roles. And also the human interactions put together called, maybe at the level of communities or groups or multifaceted aspects of the various social institutions. Yes, you can speak this way. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, let me take you this right time. What is social change now? And what about, I have to focus much on education. You should not think in terms of, general studies. It is, that sociology, optional subject, part of your mains written examination. In what way education acts as agent of social change, a tool for social change in India, culturally, structurally, functionally. So that, we have to discuss various sociologies and also various aspects of the change that we are going to elaborate by with the relevant case studies and sociologists, and where we have to parallelly touch, that our great Mahatma Gandhi, even, the Indian philosopher, of course, that former Vice President Sarvapalli Dr. Radhakrishna also parallelly. I think let me take that so that you understand the spirit of education. Education, it's not mere supplying you the knowledge or information. The education should make you stand on your own. That should give you self-confidence. That should inculcate value system in you. That is what true education or pure education be. Let it be. What, that Mahatma Gandhi ji has said about this education. If we want to reach real peace in this world, real peace, this world, we should start with educating children. I think I started. Even Dr. Kalam did that way. Started focusing on, that because the contaminated minds he left out, the young minds, uncontaminated minds, he focused on. There's a saying in Tamil, Ilamayil Kal, Aindil Valayadadu, Aimbadil Valayuma, the effective role of socialization, that to young socialization. When you educate young children, Pasumarattani bol padindu. That it's almost like, that hitting a nail on, that a tree, but you should not do that. I'm just telling. It's very easy now. It's piercing easily. So it is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So if we want to reach real peace in this world, we should start educating children. We are talking about. That's, that according to Mahatma Gandhi, that. So, because young minds properly socialized, because the educational institution happen to be one of the important agents of socialization, conditioning the young kids to the culture of the society, where the kids will come to know what are all the value system, faith, belief, knowledge, art, literature, everything. Because institutions institutionalizing them, whereas they internalize them, put together called socialization. The personality is molded to the culture of the society, so that when they come out of the education institution, when they face the real society, they will never find, cultural shocks. It won't be conflicting them because they have been already trained. It becomes very easy for them to get, that membership in various social groups or institutions. They will never face, the cultural shock or conflict. It becomes very easier for them, to gel with various social groups. When that is what the very purpose of, that education institution. Of course, when you focus on, that young children, of course, what will happen? They become, very obedient. They respect the law of the land. They will never violate, the value system of the society. They will never become deviant. Otherwise, they will become conformist. They will become responsible citizen also. They will understand the values of humanity then. What will happen ultimately? Definitely, there will be peace in the family. I think it is right time to recall our, that Dr. Kalam, that when there is righteousness in the heart, there will be harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, that you talk about, when there is righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in the character. Let's speak this way. When there is righteousness in the heart, righteousness is based on the value system you got exposed. There will be beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there will be harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. You understand? Na? Great people always speak same. Always speak the same truth. Manifestations are different. How the righteousness you come to know what is right, what is wrong, the dharma, the value system, that becomes part and parcel of your personality. How you have been socialized, you have been conditioned, you are brought up in such a way. That righteousness, that on the part of, that individual, there will be beauty in his character that leads to harmony in the home. Then when there is peace in the family, there will be peace in the world, peace in the society. When there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation, then there will be peace in the world. You just connect with this same, of course. So if you want to, that have or reach real peace in the world, that begins with educating young children. That's what Gandhiji rightly put it. You understand, na? This quote is meant for sociology. Socialization is an apt, clear cut, that quote for that. Also linked with social change, education, the agents of, the social change you can bring everywhere. That, such a great people, they can be applied everywhere. That's why they are statesmen. The great people, ideal, our ideal leaders we are talking about. That's why they are relevant even today. They will live for long. Why? It's because of the spirit we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, and according to Mahatma Gandhi, what are all the things, how educational institutions should be, how education should be. This is very important thing. I don't like to quote, blah, 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 everything. That nothing more than Gandhi's words. Especially I brought this. Yes, the true education must correspond to the circumstances. And it is not, that, or it is not a healthy growth. That it is not, importing education from somewhere. It should reflect the ground reality. It should reflect Indian values. You should not be trained in terms of American values. Of course, over the days you will come to know that's totally different scenario. They are part of human society. I'm not talking about it. To begin with, it should be personalized, customized. That should reflect, that the ground reality. So true education might correspond to the surrounding circumstances. Your own Indian culture-based education. It is value-based education. Even what we say in India, majority Hindus, there are minorities. At least you share common culture. But Indian Muslims should not think that, they should be like, Saudi Arabians or, the Middle East countries. That's the problem then. That becomes conflict. Because you know very well, that there are various research proving ultimately DNA is same. Why that? I'm not taking, the extreme stand, but that's happening in Indonesia already. There are, that in the Muslim nation, Indonesia, the currency printed, you see Ganesha's photo there. They share common culture. Religion-wise, they are different. So at least, let India, it's not by culture, it should not be brought by force. I agree with that particular point. There should be voluntarily, it should be natural. And also I'm asking, that minorities need not feel insecure in India. Once you understand this, clear principle, let's share common culture. Paths may be all, even according to Hinduism, all, the paths leading to, the same God. And that such is the unity in diversity, even the core philosophy of various Upanishads and philosophies. Why you worry? It is, let's understand the common culture. That is unity in diversity. But we are Indians first. Later we can talk about other identities. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the true education makes you understand. You move from religion to spiritual. You become spiritual. You become secular, where you try to bring, that reason more than religion. That is what the point we are talking about. So the true education must correspond to the surrounding circumstances. You understand your culture. Otherwise it is not healthy growth. It's lopsided. It's not mere, the quantification, quality. We are talking about the growth in terms of quality, not mere quantity. Ladies and gentlemen, so what is really needed to make democracy function is not knowledge or facts. And we are living in the world of information revolution, the Google. But right education, that makes, the democracy to function. Otherwise, in democracy, heads are, counted, not weighed. People should become mature. They should understand, that how your leaders should be. That yata praja, tata raja. Yata praja, tata sansan. It goes with the nature of the people. Don't blame your leaders if at all, that you found, that wrong leaders on the market. Why? Because, it is you chose them. Don't say I did not go for voting and all. Hello? Majority, that majoritarian rule. Of course, not majoritarianism. Of course, we talk about, it's not mere knowledge or facts, that rather you have to understand only through right education that enables you, that inculcate value system in you, that trains you so that you become righteous person. You know what is right, what is wrong. Nobody, that need to direct you. You drive yourself. You drive on your own. Ultimately, you choose your choices becoming, right choices. You will choose what suits you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way we are talking about, that really needed, to make, democracy function. It is not mere knowledge or facts. maybe colored facts or selective facts. That's what journalism is doing. It's not objective reporting, bias, opinion, speculation. You know that even media is not free from that criticism. You might be aware. So you know that how come you should not get misled by the knowledge or facts presented there. So right education will take you, that so that it actualizes a real democracy, letter and spirit we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way. So live as if you were to die tomorrow. We are talking about, that this is according to Mahatma Gandhi. It's not my statement, ladies and gentlemen. According to Mahatma Gandhi ji, we are talking how education should be. Live as if you were, that to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. It talks about permanency, longevity. It is not half-baked learning. Half knowledge is always dangerous. It is long-lasting. In Tamil there is a saying, that Adiyada Chelvam Kalvi Chelvam. Selvathul Selvam, that Sevi Chelvam, Achelvam, Selvathul Ilam Thala you are talking about, whatever baby. That Adiyada Selvam Kalvi, that it is, nothing can destroy, that you are learning, what you learned. Everything will go off, not your education. That talks about permanency. That the very point, that Gandhiji trying to emphasize here, learn as if you are to live forever. That stays with you till you die. Till you are dead. Even there will be legacy after you are dead. The books you write, your ideas will live forever. As Mahatma Gandhiji's non-violence, ahimsa lives forever. The value system living forever. You might be aware. It is that way, that even in our absence, we see our legacy. That is what education we are talking about. Of course, the material things, people will own ownership, but not your knowledge. One can steal your book, not your brain, well. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. So literacy in itself is no education. This is what it's not able to read and write. All literate people are not educated people. You might be aware. So literacy is not the end of that education also. Just knowing to read and write. And it's not even the beginning. By education, according to Mahatma Gandhi, who says, I mean all-round drawing, that out of the best in the child and man. It is that, so that gives all-round development, a satisfaction to your body, your mind, your spirit. The holistic learning, that's what he emphasizes. It's not talking about mere meeting your material needs or survival. The overall, the holistic learning we are talking about. Of course, let me take you to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the basic education, according to Mahatma Gandhi, links the children, whether of the cities or villages, at least, that is the best and lasting in India. Talks about, of course, the previous quote also you witnessed, that, it is that way, that the long-lasting education, especially linking with children. It is child learning. That's what you can provide world peace also. That's the first quote we have witnessed. Education should be revolutionized. So I'm talking about so that you understand what is education better. It's also going to be helpful for your essay parallel. Education should be so revolutionized, that as answer the wants of poorest villages instead of answering those of imperial exploiter. There is a saying in Tamil, ஏழையின் சிரிப்பில் இறைவனை காணலாம். When you see the poor people are smiling, the God. When you drive away the darkness on the part of the people, or drive away the ignorance, you are God. You are the creator. By your writings, by your speech, by your persuasion, by your example, by your leadership, you make difference in the lives of so many people, especially the needy, not the greedy, needy. Then only your service will be respected. That's what life. If people are already with that lot of amenities, if you support them, they will ignore you. They will reject you. They won't understand your value. Whereas if you start serving the people who are really needy people, they will cherish you. They will show gratitude. You don't want gratitude, they will cherish you. You will be respected at least. If you don't want respect, at least your service will be respected. You understand? So serving the needy, serving the really needy people, poor people, not that you understand the difference. It is not that serving that exploiters. They may not appreciate your value. They will just, you become that yet another person. You understand. That's what Gandhiji is. The prioritizing. Whom you have to. That you have to serve the really needy people, not the greedy people, not the exploiters. To pour the water, the root, not in just leaf. That is the priority. The future depends on what we do in the present. Of course, even Gothari Committee recommendation speaks in such a way. The education reforms. The future of the nation shaped in classrooms, as I do now. It is virtual learning, of course, online learning. I shape you. You have submitted yourself for the conditioning. Of course, hope with the blessings of God, I'm on my duty, I believe. Hope that I'm making some difference here. The future of the nation is shaped in classroom. Kothari Committee recommendation. Yes, the future depends on what you do in the present, what you do now, because action speaks louder than words. It's not simply when the eyes are focused on sky. You ensure that legs are grounded by action, by practice, by pragmatism. Of course, what you do today, live up to the moment. The future depends on that up to the moment. Of course, you have to emphasize the importance of education. Ladies and gentlemen, that's according to Mahatma Gandhi, just to have an idea. Of course, that it is right time. Let me also parallelly touch the teacher who rose to the level of the Rashtrapati ji, of course, President of India, a teacher, of course, Sarvapalli Dr. Radhakrishnan, who wrote elaborately on Hindu philosophy. You might be aware. Even the September 5th celebrated as Teachers' Day. You might be aware. The end product of education should be a free, creative man. It's not still living with the primordial ideas or superstitions, because reason is more than religion. The rationalization, the cause and effect, scientific temperament, the logical connectivity. You question everything. You need not accept as they are. You can question. You got right to question everything. You can get the clarity. That free, because where the mind is without free. Let me also invite parallelly Rabindranath Tagore, the Nobel laureate on Gitanjali. You might be aware. Where the mind is without fear, the head is held high. The free creativity. In the minds of slave people, you can never get creativity. The freedom. That's what true education. The end product, or the true education that should give you freedom, liberal values. Of course, that you become creative men. That never stops that never limits your creativity. And who can also battle against all historical, that you rise against that, that all those, the clutches of, the evils, the issues there. Maybe, maybe the historical circumstances, even the adversaries of the nature, adversities of nature. You question everything. Whether it is going to be environmental degradation, you can provide solution because you got knowledge, you got creativity, you got in-depth understanding. Whether it is, historical mistakes in the past, as we did in the Constitution through reservation. Dr. Ambedkar put it. We abolished, that untouchability, Article 17. Now we are talking about women empowerment and transgender justice for LGBT community also. And we address various issues on the part of, physically challenged people. Historical circumstances, hitherto we have never done, or something wrong done in the past. We are capable of fixing it. Because we have no limitations, because we are free. With the liberal values, liberty, equality, fraternity, even if which is said to be the value systems part of your, the preamble, part of the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. So, I think I want you to link this way. It's not a simple quote, that you can speak on this quote for 1 hour, because that much of information you can connect with. That's what the words of, great people. You can link with so many aspects of, the society. The end product of education should be free and creative men. I really, wonder all our politicians, that the touching for the sake of power, that the leaders simply, touching sometimes tires of, their own party leaders. Backbone-less people. You have to respect people, that because of their deeds, because they are, it's not for the sake of some benefits. There should be natural respect, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about. People have become, backbone-less people. You see everywhere, it's a mockery of democracy. Survival instinct we are talking about. They are not educated people. It is a survival mechanism I'm talking about. They will survive everywhere. By any means, it is that way. So, that's what, that well-educated people they'll be always upright. Of course, they will respect. They will touch the feet of, elders out of respect. Out of value system, not for the sake of, the benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, so end product of education should be free, creative men who can battle against historical circumstances and adversities of nature. That thanks to, that our Dr. Radhakrishnan, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. Of course, that a former, that president of India. It is right time. Of course, you might be aware. It is German. I think you got something spirit of that some education. Of course, it is right time. Let me take you. You have to link with what is education spirit. Education, how it is responsible for social change. It's not only meeting your basic, that needs, roti, kapda, makan, even to meet, bijli, sadak, pani. That becomes, that instrument of social change. You need doctors, you need engineers, you need research scholars. That comes role of education. Primary education, elementary education, that higher education. Of course, you talk about research-oriented education, vocational courses. How that changing the face of the very society. You just see the very learning, whether it is economics, you talk about environmental standards, automobile, you talk about even that the so-called that you talk about space science. Of course, avionics, you talk about even the civil engineering, you talk about here. Even the so-called hotel management, the IT information revolution. Everywhere you talk about the research R&D. And also you talk about, ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. Everything in the education is responsible for all-round changes on the various aspects of the society. Even, every institution you see the change in terms of culture, change in terms of structure, change in terms of, the functionality we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what going to be our, the bone of, that contention. Of course, education, the most powerful instrument of social change. That too, young education, as Mahatma Gandhi ji put it, right? You might be aware. It is through education that society can bring desirable changes and modernize itself. It is that to mass education we are talking about. But of course, that the new education policy, that emphasizing, ultimately brought several changes. It's a much awaited, the policy, that which has allocated 6% of GDP, you might be aware. And it is, the central government should work with, it's a mammoth task with other state administration to make it, realistic, you might be aware. And also how, that the various reforms, that mother tongue based education also. And also, that, the employability is the emphasis there. And you also talk about, during the, the course at even first year, second year, you can come out of the college, with that, that diploma, you can join, that any institution or any industry to work. See the purpose I'm talking about. It is that way, that emphasis on various, that higher education council, everything we are talking about. A lot of reforms, brought. It's in education, that you're going to, you are well aware of it. But let me address, the sociological perspective parallelly. So, education can transform society by providing opportunities. It is creating opportunities and experiences. Because of the thing you are educated, you are given, opportunity to work somewhere, to be part of that organization where you undergo wonderful experiences. You learn everything. Otherwise, your expertise is going to benefit the organization, take that organization to the next level. When you are given opportunity because you are educated, you are qualified enough, you meet the recruit mechanism. You meet the recruit mechanism as you are facing UPSC now. It is that way, through that, through which individual can cultivate himself. Ultimately, what happened, right? You ultimately shape yourself. The value system is fixed in you, inculcated in you, right? That ultimately you accommodate yourself, adjust yourself with that you evolve yourself in that particular environment, in that particular factory or industry or institution, whatever it may be. So you also that try to respond to the emerging needs and philosophy of that changing society parallelly. You evolve yourself parallelly because of that education. That facilitates you, that gives you opportunity. You're ready to accommodate to the various challenges in the society. That's all possible because of this education. There is a saying, when you try to correct a fool, he will become angry. When you try to correct an educated person, probably he may listen. You try to correct a fool, he will get, he will become angry because emotional. He may not be, but it's some statement I'm making. There are exceptions too. That's different category. Sometimes educated fools are available everywhere. You understand, that uneducated people with clear-cut, value system, respect to the value system, maturity, you see. The people like, you also witness those people. So, but education provides opportunity. Because that's why the statement, we don't want Harvard. We want hard work. Of course, smart work, effective work. because Harvard fails, but hard work works sometimes. You might be aware. It is not the quantity of education, the quality of education, the education with value system. We understand. We know what's happening in politics. Abroad educated people, what they are doing in India, how corrupt people we face in the nation. You might be aware. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that whereas guys, you know that just degree, they are doing fantastic. You know well, it is that way. It's not a quantity of education, quality of education, ladies and gentlemen. So education as a factor of social change is discussed by various schools of thought. You know, that's what, you know, we are going to discuss now. The various schools of thought, you know, of course, we say the structural functionalism. We say, you know, that especially Emile Durkheim, Talcott Parson, you know, that you talk about Emile Durkheim, Talcott Parson, you know, that we already discussed under Thinker's banner. You know, you might be aware. This Durkheim and, you know, the Talcott Parsons, you know, that belonging to structural functionalism, they gave positive relationship between education and social change. How, you know, the education as a social institution responsible for bringing, you know, social change in the society, how it became, you know, functional for the transformation that benefits the society. So positive. How education institution became functional to society or bringing social order, reinforcing, because through education, the value system of the society to which you are conditioned, you are socialized, so that there happens, you know, social order. You become obedient citizen, responsible citizen. So that, you know, there comes never a conflict you are talking about. That's why social order, existing social order is preserved that way. That's what, you know, that Emile Durkheim and Talcott Parsons, you know, that they establish a positive relationship. Otherwise, education is functional to a society. It is that way. While Durkheim, especially Emile Durkheim or Durkheim, you call, that's nothing wrong. So argue that education prepared students for taking a future role in capitalistic society. This is also accusation. You know that the modern day education should not just, you know, that create employees for the corporate world. Today's accusation, of course, you know, those days it's the right point. Nothing is absolutely correct we are talking about. You might be aware. The role of the education institution should not, you know, create, you know, the employees for, you know, corporates. They should generate leaders of tomorrow who are capable of standing on their own. They should generate entrepreneurs. They bring, you know, transformation in the society. It's not just for, you know, that getting salary you should make. You know, that ensures survival. That we are talking today, of course, according to Emile Durkheim, who argued education prepared students for taking up future role, because, you know, capitalism that talks about industrial based, more based, you know, production, you know, that unleashes, you know, variety of opportunities. To meet that opportunities, to face that challenges, you should be qualified enough. It is not that's what, you know, people are talking about. Employment is not the issue. Employability, how skilled you are. On the one side, you know, that the corporates, you know, the complaining, or, you know, that industry is saying, you know, that they don't have right people for their company with necessary expertise. On the other side, people are talking about, you know, that unemployment. No. You should enable yourself. You know, the finishing school programs you would have heard. It is that way we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, employment is not the issue, employability issue. So to make them employable, there comes the role of, you know, education institution. That's why you are getting exposed to the vocational courses, so that you meet the demands of the capitalist society, addressing, you know, the multiple needs of the various aspects or various institutions of society. And also, whereas, you know, the American sociologist Parsons, Talcott Parsons, you know, advocated, you know, that the schools in capitalist America provide adequate training to the children to get into the job market. Same meaning. Same meaning, you know, that you understand the positive role of education institution in molding you, shaping you, so that you meet the demands of the market, you meet the demands of the capitalist society or society in general. That trains you, that conditions you, that socializes you. So, you know, one of the important agents of socialization, the very education institution we are talking about. That's what the role emphasized by both Emile Durkheim and Talcott Parsons, belonging to structural functionalism school of thought. You might be well aware, ladies and gentlemen. And also, you know, that another gentleman, of course, you know, that two people, of course, we are talking about Kingsley Davis, Wilbur Emmure. We discussed already about them in social stratification unit. You might be aware. Effective role allocation and performance. Because society has got division of labor. Even there is a kural in Tamil, of course, Idanai, Idanal, Ivan Mudikum, Endraraindu, Adanai, Avan can vidal. It is otherwise, simply put it, a phrase, management by delegation. You recruit right people, then they will be trained then that you monitor whether they have been enabled or not, then you employ them. It is that way. So that Davis and Moore, the role of education institution, to cater the needs of that the society through division of labor. Division of labor leads to specialization. You might be aware. So Davis and Moore, in the theory of stratification, advocated that highly educated persons get high degree of that specialization. Division of labor leads to specialization and are endowed with exclusive qualities to fit into the highly challenging or most productive occupations. It is completely based on division of labor. Effective role allocation and performance. There comes the role of education institutions to train them, to train the workforce or professionals in that particular end. So there comes, that's aptly said. It is also within structural functionalism school of thought. You might be aware. So, that the education institutions, they are instrumental in economic progress, social development of the nation. You might be aware. So, that without, that education, without, that qualified people, that you cannot, that take that economy to the next level. You need professionals, who add value, who enrich the value of the institution by taking part in the economic or developmental activities. So that takes the nation to the next level, you might be aware. So role of education institution is very crucial by training them, by providing, by especially training them in terms of various specialized fields, professional courses. You might be aware. So as a result, what happens, right? Values like self-orientation. So it talks about the liberal principle, individualism, modern liberal values, and achievement, and also the spirit of competition. You compete with others. Hope it's healthy competition, and also you work towards universal value system, respecting humanity. You don't appreciate that all those parochialization, and also you are ready to embrace innovation, creativity, and you strictly adhere to, conform to the legal provisions of the society, and also equality, equality principles of society. Maybe liberty, equality, fraternity, everything what you're talking about. So you get exposed to modern liberal values. You are trained in such a way, so that there comes social order. We're talking about that has the predominated that throughout. Otherwise, the very thought of every generation we are talking about. It is it's completely shift from the traditional values, the modern liberal values in which they are trained. There comes role of education institution. Education gives you self-confidence so that you stand on your own. There comes that self-orientation, individualism, achievement orientation, competition, universalism, innovation, conformity, all those that respecting legal provisions. Excuse me, 1 second please, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Bibin, I'm live. Hello. Mr. Bibin, do you hear me? I'm on live here. On live here. I'll finish session. I'll talk to. Oh, please. May not be knowing. Thank you. I'm sorry. That's a call from Unacademy. Don't worry. I'm on my duty. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about, the liberal values you get exposed. Not only that, however, education also reinforces inequalities and conservatism. Parallelly, this is accusation, as I told you already. That what happened, right? That talks about affordability. Rich gets richer, poor gets poor. And also even highly educated people, they're sometimes, they're taking the very purpose of education through the traditional purpose. As I told you, right, they never come out of their social identity. Maybe they never come out of their caste identity or religious identity. They don't understand the modern liberal principles sometimes. They know it. They're very conscious. They preserve that, that the conservatism value systems. You might be aware. That is also accusation we're talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. There comes, of course, that Pierre Bourdieu, that ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about, to address this. In his theory of, social and cultural reproduction, that it is the Pierre Bourdieu asserts that education preaches equality, but practices, that reinforcement of hierarchy and inequality. That is his accusation statement. That's what completely based on the previous question we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So children belonging to an upper class, having control over economic and cultural and social capital, they enter into high profitable occupations, and this success is legitimized by the school. Got the idea? Na? You understand? Na? Affordability. The people belonging to upper class, children belonging to upper class, because of their access to the affordability, that benefits them more. It is not promoting equality. Otherwise, that creates, that social stratification, that the classes. Once again, it is a reinforcement of, hierarchy once again. Otherwise, rich gets richer, poor gets poorer. Otherwise, widening social inequality. It's not good for, balanced society. You might be aware. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about, so education offers, that no scope for mobility. We are talking about it. There is no scope for mobility, that we are talking about, that sometimes education offers mobility, no doubt. Sometimes, why this accusation? And mass education is given to the masses, but exclusive education is important for the job market and is monopolized by upper class. Because given the situation, it has become costly affairs or commercialization of agriculture, not agriculture, commercialization of the very education institution we're talking about. Why? Given, that the new education policy, there comes, you parallelly allow, that the abroad universities to start their own centers here. On the one side, you want to have, that free social service, through education institute. On the other side, for poor people, to government institution, and parallelly you open up, that the abroad, that universities for, that commercialization of education. What will happen? That is what the accusation, criticism against new education policy also. Ladies and gentlemen, you might be aware. So this is highly relevant. Education offers no scope for mobility. Maybe, that affordable people go there. When commercialization, the quality ultimately, there comes competition. Whereas here government, already they've got a lot of bottlenecks. Of course, let's see how it is going to get implemented, the 6% of GDP. Based on that, we can talk about it. And ladies and gentlemen, so the mass education should be given to the masses. We are talking about, that, so, it should not be monopolized by affluent, sections, upper classes. That ultimately goes against, that very equality, otherwise promoting hierarchy once again. Of course, the Andre Beetle, whose case study, Tripuram, the case study, that especially in Tanjore village, you might be aware. So in his article advocates how it is not the principle of equality or economic interest or search for the mobility. But that the people into, that the schools, put people into schools, that rather entry into school and success into school is greatly defined by, you have to understand, it is not the principle of equality that forces people to enter into education institute or economic interests or search for, that mobility in the ladder of social hierarchy. But that it is rather entry into school and success into school is greatly defined by your nature of the family, your relatives' networks, your religion. There are some religions attaching more value to education. There are some religions, you might be aware, especially women education, very clear. Malala Yousafzai, what happened, right? And also other cultural variables. So there are various other factors, defining ultimately your entry into educational institution. It is not, that making generalized statement. That is what Andre Beetle clearly made, advocated that it is not the principle of equality, not the economic interest, not, the search for mobility, but people put into schools rather. The entry into school and its success into school greatly influenced by family, kinship, religion, and other cultural variables. You understand now? That goes with status quo ante. Status quoism is maintained. It's a preservation of, that already existing hierarchy once again. Of course, the role of education in encompassing the mobility cannot be universally being similar. We are talking about, that. So the role of education in encompassing mobility, of course, some places, it's offering mobility, some places it may not. Of course, that's what, when you talk about religion, I told you, that the West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh, that Muslim women, they're well educated, but they're not taking part, that in economy. The guaranteed education need not guarantee, the equality. Social status. Of course, we are talking about in every society, the various forms of, compulsions, institutional conditions, and value system will be determining to what extent and in what forms the education has successfully contributed to the mobility we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that, contextualizing. Of course, we are talking about it is right. Of course, the positive role of education in social mobility has been contested, that they question, actually contested by the Marxists, that, why, commercialization of education, even the very neat politics we are talking about. Who are all opposing, especially the political parties, who have got all those, education institutions, they collect, capitation fee. Of course. But of course, it's also parallelly another criticism against central government. You want to provide that uniform that a system, and you have to ensure parallelly. Of course, recently 7.5 that the percent reservation to the kids from government schools, that's different measure. We understand that it is that way. So the need politics behind that opposing or supporting need we're talking about. So it becomes additional tool in the hands of exploiters. We're talking about that's according to that Marxism. The feminist theory, you might be aware, indicates the features of education system are very patriarchal, male dominated, male chauvinistic world. It's not in favor of women. Even of course, a lot of measures, that in the women education emphasis was given. You might be aware, even that Suganya Samriddhi Yojana. We're talking about various schemes like that. Of course, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, that you're talking about various schemes. Of course, that for instance, the stories, even the stories, you say it's not history, it is history. The story of his plus story, history, not her plus story. Why it is not history? Why it is always history? Even when you happen to read all those historical leaders, not much, that there is no reservation. 95%, 99% only male leaders. Female, very rarest of rare occasion. You see the female leader like, Jhansi Rani, Lakshmi Bai, or even Annie Besant, that otherwise male-dominated world. His stories, not her stories. Even the words in syllabus, chairman. Please go for gender-neutral terms. Of course, even I mentioned somewhere chairman. I'm sorry. That because it's because of the lack of space I've mentioned that way. I'm sorry. It should be chairperson, gender neutral term. Right, words in syllabus are heavily biased towards men and enforce the the dominion we are talking about. Further, girls are more concerned, that considered suitable to pursue that non-science discipline, artistic, very art based, not for engineering. And that in engineering colleges you will come to know that only electronics and communication engineering and the computer science, IT, you will see the girls, majority girls. But when it comes to mechanical engineering, 4 to 5 girls. Or civil engineering, there will be one or two girls. You go to engineering colleges, you will see it's happened to be men domain like that. I don't know. It is that way, that suitable, that I don't know what's happening. That we give Sunita Williams, Kalpana Chawla, that, and also Indra Nooyi. We are talking about now that Geeta Gopinath, of course, and Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. That there are so many people adoring ultimately. You might be aware. So you have to understand. We are talking about that. Feminist theory is so up somewhere. So poverty creates difference. That one's inability to acquire. That of course your socio-economic background is responsible for the acquisition of education. That decides the roadmap. Fortunately, that nowadays banks are coming forward to help you. And you think about the 20 years, 30 years back, that getting bank loans are difficult task. Otherwise, India would have produced more, thanks to this consciousness. Now, the bank loans extended ultimately, even IIT, IIMs, that very easy loans are provided. You might be aware. Educational loans, that you might be. So that's ultimately what happened, right? Socio-economic background in the past, that limited this acquisition of education. No doubt at all. So the great divergence between, the private and public institutes gets, the manifested in perpetuation of the poverty. This is what the entry decides. Your entry level into a particular institution decides your career map. If you enter into arts and science, if you enter into, the engineering, of course, majority I'm talking about. There are exceptions. There are guys without education, they've achieved. That's different story. I'm not talking about exceptions are not examples. More or less, that what is in majority we are talking about. It's not majoritarian view. I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, you understand parallel. Right, ladies and gentlemen, and the equality, there was another question, the previous question you have to understand. Education and equality we are talking about. The equality in education means to give equal chance to every individual for the development of his, once again, male chauvinistic or her capacity. Why? I should correct myself here. Why it is his capacity? Why not her capacity? Equality in education means to give equal chances to every individual for the development of the very capacity we are talking about. That's what the very purpose. It provides opportunity. It equal chances it should give. It is an accepted working policy of all democratic nations to make the provision for equal opportunities, even reservation through which we ensure Level playing field, you might be aware. The historical recorrections we do through education. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, 1 second, please. The Constitution of India provides for educational opportunities. That's what we spoke. Article 15 within bracket 4, 16 within bracket 4, even Article 15, nothing, prohibition of discrimination. Article 45, the 275, 164, 330, 338, 340, 342, fifth schedule, sixth schedule. That all those things, that we provide all those, we meet out. You might be well aware. Even Article 17, Article 29, 30. Why not? It is that way we are talking about. So it also provides the state shall not discriminate. That this is what Article 15. The between persons, on the grounds of religion, caste, race, sex. These are all the things. Education, that talks about equality, equality of opportunity. We are talking about it. It's more than that. We started addressing equity even. We try to understand unique problems on the part of every sections of population. Ladies and gentlemen, the horizontal equality treats all constituents as if that in equal manner. But whereas vertical equality, where we talk about special consideration to bring about equality of opportunity through reservation. That's what we are talking about. Positive discrimination, protective discrimination. We also discriminate positively, but with the view of protecting them. That's where reservation is getting justified. We are talking about there is a great need for emphasizing the equality of opportunity in education. We are talking about why these are all the various reasons we are talking about why that the need for emphasizing the equality of opportunity in education. If that's going to be your question, of course we are talking about it is needed for the establishment of egalitarian society. What do you mean by egalitarian society? Mahatma Gandhi dreamed of egalitarian society. Karl Marx dreamed of classless communist society. Both are letter and spirit same, but paths are different. Egalitarian society is a society where everything is for everyone. All resources are equally accessible to all the members of society. You might be aware. To remove gender gap and urban rural gap, that definitely you need the equality of opportunity, because that women representation, women empowerment should be there, and also rural people should be represented. Even the engineering courses, the schools, the children from rural, students from rural, the institutions, they are given special marks. You might be aware those days, to give level playing field. They should not feel that discriminated because of their socio-economic background. You might be aware it is needed because it is through education that to all people in a democracy, that is the success of democratic institution. If you don't provide proper education to all peoples in a democratic nation, how come you can expect them that to respect the democratic institution? How come you can ensure the success of the democratic institutions at all? We are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is right time. Let me take you to the next level. Yes, the equality of educational opportunities will ensure a rapid advancement. That is what a nation, the making, the development of the nation. Because what happened through education, you make them, they stand on their own. Maybe the very quality education, of course, they'll feel enabled. With that, educational qualification, they enter into the job market. They participate in industries. Ultimately, they get, jobs, opportunities created by education institutions. Once they join the job, they earn money, ultimately purchasing power. Ultimately, they create a lot of demands in the market. They will first buy mobile. I know the two smartphone. The parents would have bought some phone. This guy will go for smartphone. Then ultimately, the two wheelers. I think college days itself, they would have that adamant. They would have got the two wheeler. By this time, four wheelers. Create demands in the automobile industry. Then ultimately, you will invest. You will have your own the flat. 2 BHK, 3 BHK, because that demands in the market, because you don't want to stay as a tenant somewhere. Yes, you create a lot of demands. Ultimately, economy moving to the next level with your purchasing power. That is what India's the strong area, demographic dividend, the young people with purchasing power. That is what taking India to the next level. Superpower, Vishwa Guru. We are heading towards double-digit GDP. Don't worry about the recent economic setbacks, that, or even the COVID crisis. We will come out successful. There is a green pasture. Don't worry. There will be light at the end of tunnel. We are working towards it. Be optimistic. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way we are talking about, where role of education institutions very crucial. We are talking about shaping them. in inculcating value system in them and making them, that stand on their own to become, a confident personalities in the world we are talking about. So it will help, that to develop a close link between a manpower needs of a society and availability of a skilled person. That you try to establish the connectivity. So how much, manpower needed by the society and availability. If there is a gap, you bridge the gap by enabling Skill India Development Program. You might be aware. Enablement of skills we are talking about, finishing schools programs, everything. It's not employment is not the criteria, employability is the criteria, where we have to work towards employability skills we're talking about. But still there is unequal opportunity granted to, that women, that the girl child, the tribals, minority, LGBT. Of course, in spite of that, we are yet to address 100%. We are working on it. You might be aware. So you have to understand education, that gives opportunity to promote equality and various other things we are, the talking. In spite of that, there are still some persistent problems, that the nation working towards it, that the government addressing. You might be aware. It's that way. And also we are talking about there are some reasons which create, inequality of educational opportunity. Why that inequality? Why that persistent inequality? And somewhere, the imbalance you witness. Why? It is difference in economic status. And, we have to overcome. By education, you can overcome poverty. And also gender disparities. There comes again, role of education. Though you are, that is Muslim, that women especially, even educated women in some families, they are not allowed to go to job because of the traditional mindset. On the one side, we are talking about, that the income through child labor is a shame on Indian economy. We are talking about. But there are guys, educated women, not allowed to go to, jobs. But they have to. But, if at all they feel limit, that not, maybe take care of kids, that's totally different scenario. Even governments providing, that matriarchy, that leave, patriarchy leaves, you might be aware. I mean, even the working environment with all those, facilities for, the crush and all, you might be aware. So gender disparities we are talking about, in terms of, the payments, pay level, you might be aware, especially in the rural areas you witness. And regional imbalances we are talking about. Because of, that some areas, that Bhimarao states, very clear-cut example we are talking about. Bhimarao states, now they are coming forward, you might be aware. So the western states and southern states, they dominate in all social indicators. But whereas Bhimarao, our heart is weak here. The Chota Nagpur plate, the Bhimarao states, very weak here, you might be aware. The growth story of western and southern states completely eaten away by this, that the Bhimarao. But they are now moving ahead. That's a different scenario. And that they're coming out of the clutches of, even Honorable, Amit Shah, that the Home Minister, spoke about this, taking, that the nation from the clutches of Bhimaru, as you got PIGS nation, the European Union, you might be aware. So, and also, that physiological difference we are talking about, that inequality of education opportunity, that, see, the education gives you a life chance, lifestyle. Of course, that will get reflected. The stunted growth, the nutrition. Of course, you can't feed people with necessary, the balanced diet. It has got the physiological differences parallelly. And also difference in home conditions we are talking about. It is driven by inequality, or these all factors, parallelly driving inequality also. You can address both ways. I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. Of course, you go to the next point, right? And difference, home condition, that where your home is situated, the conditionality, which is in the midst of antisocial element, urban slum, the culture accordingly, you might be aware. The downtrodden region, that limits your, the thought process, the creativity accordingly. The media, social media from where, of course, the reasons for which the inequality of educational opportunity, that, why you should go to, that higher studies and all, you don't need, you just earn. Come on, you enter into, this 10th standard is more than sufficient for you. Go to work. Huh? Maybe that's, survival economy. Of course, not far-sighted people, far-sighted environment. Survival economy, of course, you talk about. So disparity between, they go with their own immediate priorities, not towards, long-lasting life. Of course, the disparity between, backward and advanced classes. Yes. And non-availability of adequate opportunities we are talking about. Once again, pushing to inequality. A difference in mental and physical abilities. Of course, it is that way we are talking about, your IQ as well as your physical abilities, that all those factors we take into account, that we spoke already connected with theological differences too. We are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, that the presence of inequality we are talking about. So not only that, considerable works in this respect have been done through the program of expansion of educational facilities at the elementary, secondary, the university stages. You might be aware. Even new education policy emphasizing a lot of reforms. It's quite promising with 6% of GDP. I'm pretty sure we are going to, of course, health sector also we have to work. The social sector allocation we are talking about, that combined together 7.7, it should become 12%. Of course, in education sector we are yet to address the very health sector. You might be aware. Given COVID situation, government will think more, I believe. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. So the constitutional provisions for ensuring equality in education in Indian context includes, of course, Right to Education Act, free and compulsory education, Article 21A, and also education for that the minority institutions. The minorities, they can have their own institution. That in India, when you say minorities, linguistic and religious minorities we are talking about. Maybe Article the 29, 30, and that safeguarding that linguistic minorities without compromising excellence in education. Recent Supreme Court judgment, you might be aware. And also the 2020 new education policy assuring 6% of GDP with the support of the state administration. Definitely we are moving to next level, you might be aware. There's German. I'm not because you need separate session to discuss new education policy. That's I'm just touching because the focus how education as an agent of social change, instrument of social change, a tool of social change from sociological point of view we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So special focus on education for women, special treatment for SC/ST and other backward classes. You might be aware through reservation and wide distribution of that institutions. Of course, that when we talk about the very recent institutions, you hope you understand, right, are almost 7 new IITs, 7 new Indian Institute of Management, 2 new the National Institute of Technologies, and 3 central universities, and 125 Kendriya Vidyalayas. I'm talking about these are all recent creations when you talk about wide distribution of institutions. And also that as per 2000 census, that the Swayam portal we are talking about, and anytime learning, free learning, we got portal, part of that, of course. And 32 educational channels were launched, you might be aware. And free coaching for I'm just reading the facts you needed. IIT JEE and through IIT Paul, the professor assisted learning, you might be aware. All these things are happening in India. Are you aware of it? Wide distribution of institutions we are talking about. And also that the graded autonomy ensuring that the very quality education we are talking about. So this is to support the wide distribution of institutions and provision of free you talk about preschool education and provision of scholarship and other facilities that carried out to bring equality in education we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, it is through reservation and other measures, and also through the provision of distributed institutional mechanisms at various levels to cater the needs of education. Of course, we bring equality. Hope you might that you would have understood by this time. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is right time. Let me reinforce once again sociological viewpoints. Apart from that at the beginning, that our discussion centered around that the perspectives. Where we spoke Emil Durkheim, Talcott Parsons, and also Kingsley Davis, and also that the Peary, and also one more that Andre Beetle we spoke. Now the Indian sociologist, of course S.C. Dubey. Empirical survey he conducted, especially in the year 1967, of various professions, lawyers, engineers, of course teachers in the region called Gorakhpur, you might be aware. So most of them had rural background. They came from there, they reached that position. If you want to come up in life, education that supports you, facilitates you, that becomes additional tool. Education is an instrument of social change that provided mobility for them. That's clear-cut case study. According to S.C. Dubey, that 1967 empirical survey in Gorakhpur, you might be aware. People from rural, even I am from rural background. I'm the first, that engineer in my rural village. First graduate in my family. Studied up to Tamil medium, that up to 12th standard, for your information. I don't know how to speak in English in my first year of engineering, for your kind information. It is up to you. It's not where we are coming from. Let's thank Dr. Kalam here. It is not where you are coming from, where you are going towards. Your birth is an event. Your death should become a history. Ladies and gentlemen, your death is a history. Of course, he made history. You might be aware. It's not where we are coming from, but where we are heading towards. That's very important. Education, the role of education is very crucial. If you're properly utilizing it, that takes you to the next level. That that should benefit the society. It's not benefiting you alone. that should benefit the whole humanity. There comes, greater role. It's not creating selfish individuals. I'm not talking about the Harvard. I'm talking about hardworking, that socially responsible people I'm talking about. Of course, Kumaraswamy. We are talking about another social scientist, who supplied actually. He spoke about ideals of meaningful education system. What educational system, if it is meaningful with ideals, that of course he spoke about the universal philosophical attitude. Of course, you should train yourself in terms of greater tradition, greater value system. It's not training yourself in terms of parochial tradition, little tradition. The universal philosophical attitude, that so that benefits the whole humanity. You never contradict that value system. The peaceful, amicable living, not to kill, not to harm, be responsible. You might be aware so many, the universal standards and principles and recognition of sacredness in all. It is not, as even email that gone to the extent of, that, dividing religion into sacred and profane. Not like that. You see sacredness in everything. If you look at that way, everything can be respected. You got right attitude. So recognition of sacredness in all, respecting all, that you sanctum sanctorium status you're talking about, which is antithesis to the Western division of life. It is not respecting only temple. You should parallelly respect mosque also, church also. It is somebody else's temple, for your kind information. It is as holy as, that your temple. Understand? It is that way. So, matran thotattu malligiyum manakkum. Even somebody else's gardens, flowers will also have fragrance. Should have that attitude with the right spirit. So recognition of, sacredness of all things, we are talking about antithesis to the Western division into sacred and profane. Everything is sacred if you look at that way. So religious toleration, the ideals according to Kumaraswamy, that you would have seen one James Kumaraswamy in BBC. It's different. Of course, we are talking about social scientists. So religious toleration based on, awareness that all dogmas, that are formally imposed upon infinite, that limitation. That you are infinite. A resource. You have to understand. There is a God particle in you, boson particle in you. Unfortunately, that all your surroundings, all your misconceptions limiting you. Even sometimes your education, that limiting you, that you are finite. No, you have to understand you are infinite, because that's a spirit. You are part of the greater spirit. You came here for a particular purpose, but you have to ask yourself why I am, who am I, why I came here. Because one person asked, who became Swami Vivekananda. Another person asked, who became, that Sri Ramana Maharishi. You might be. You can also ask. You can go to that level. It's up to you. Who am I? Why I'm here? Why I came here? What's my purpose? What's my direction? Don't that make yourself finite material. You are infinite. Of course, the religious toleration based on awareness that all dogmas and formulae are imposed upon. That these are all formulae and dogmas imposed upon infinite by limitations of the finite human intellect. Right? So with something, what do you know? A small iota of information, you can't limit the greatest, ultimate, almighty, the greater spirit. That's what, that it's the ocean. The humanity is ocean. The whole world is, the whole universe, such a broad, big. You imagine how we are, how that how iota, how not even that 1 millionth, 1 billionth of the dot we are. You just imagine. So how can you restrict the greatest source? You have to understand. So religious toleration based awareness that all dogmas, you have to understand, that they limit you, but don't limit yourself, because that's what spiritualism, the world says, ultimate. There is the same ultimate, that there are different manifestations. Don't restrict yourself. Don't have, we are limitless. Netflix limitless. You understand better now. Of course, Kumaraswamy, according to him, the ideals of the meaningful educational system, etiquette, we are talking about etiquette, civilization conceived as a product of civil people. We are talking about, that. So it is that way. You represent, that. It is that, the decent way of life we are talking about. It is that way. So the relationship between teacher people, that the teacher student, we are talking about, of course, Guru Shiksha. We are talking about Guru Shishya, the relationship respectively, in memorizing the great literature, the rote learning. That is, we are talking about the epics as, embodying the ideals character. We are, epics you might be, that Ramayana, Mahabharata. Even today, that Barack Obama, that the POTUS, the former president of United States of America, he said, he was taught in his young age all Ramayana and Mahabharata. He says, how, that, I don't know, see, it's a good thing to hear. But, it's nothing wrong. You can also hear, learn good spirit on the part of, the Quran, Bible, nothing wrong in that. But because you will come to know, there will be a common ground. For great people, religion is a tool of connecting people. For small people, religion is a tool for dividing people, for your information. You have to understand, because all paths are leading to the same destination, same Almighty God. You might be aware. Paths are different. You might be aware. Okay, so the epics as embodying the ideals of character, learning as privilege, never to be used merely as a means to economic prosperity. You have to understand, that should shape the ideals of, the character, not as mere means for your, that monthly salary. The very education should, make you to stand on your own. It's not afraid of somebody else. That's what we say. Love your job. Don't love your company, because you don't know when the company stop loving you. If you're very passionate in what you do, you need if that's what oh my God, Dr. Kalam keep on dominating me. In all my talks. If you salute your duty, you need not salute anybody. If you pollute your duty, you have to salute everybody. Respecting people is different from saluting. Hello. That by your heart you respect your elders, that your well wishes every morning. That's different scenario I'm talking about. If you salute your duty, you need not salute your, anybody. If you pollute your duty, you have to salute. You are afraid of everybody. Then you have to do all those moravasal. In Tamil, it's called, you have to do all those, the touching feet, everything. Then you become backboneless. That's what happening in political class. You might be aware. Ladies and gentlemen, so we are talking about, that gives ideal character, not for survival mechanism. So that according to, Kumaraswamy, the very ideals of meaningful education we are discussing. Altruism, your education should benefit, everybody. Altruistic, not your, self growth. That should benefit, you first you equip yourself. I understand. First you equip yourself, you become a leader, then you start serving. And before serving, you should be strong. You should equip yourself. I'm not questioning that. You become strong, then you become role model. You try to help everyone in all possible ways. Altruism, that should, all your strength, should benefit the whole humanity. Until equipping yourself, don't do that. Otherwise, you understand. But you need not wait also parallelly what you can do without affecting, your strengthening part. That's different scenario I'm talking about, as we do, right? That altruism and recognition of the unity of, that all life, that unity of all life, because all life is same. You have to recognize that common spirit, unity in diversity. We are all same. Of course, paths are different, manifestations are different. You have to understand, this is maturity. This is what gives you confidence. This is what, helps you to identify common ground so that you connect with everybody. That is what maturity is all about. You're not, that stopped by anybody. That you're free from all those clutches. You get the liberal values. You get creativity. You become creator. That confidence comes in you to the greater level. Nobody can stop you. That is what true education I'm talking about. So, of course, that Kumaraswamy, social scientist, fantastically, that explain all those ideals of meaningful education, educational system. Not only that, the control, not merely of action, but also of thought. It is not, that restricting your deeds. Also, the troubleshooting at thought level. Your thought becomes action, you might be aware. Troubleshooting at the thought process. Right thought leads to right action. Wrong thought leads to wrong action. Control your thought process. Troubleshoot at the cut at supply level. So that, that the deeds, all deeds will get rationalized, channelized in such a way we are talking about. Of course, Kumaraswamy, of course, the control not merely of action, but also of thought. In traditional sense, essence of education lay in realizing one's potential and developing it in an integrated aspect of growing it. You realize one's potential and also developing it. It is overall development. It's not, if physically you are grown, mentally you are up. That's what I see. All MTechs, PhDs, that with nothing, just using that ABCD for survival. not understanding the value system of the life. And there are very educated people, that very, that matured people, respecting value system without even education. I see parallel. So it's quantity. I'm not talking about quantity of education, quality education, education with value system. Maybe one of the seven sins, according to Mahatma Gandhi, education without value system. You might be aware. So integrated aspect, that should benefit you. That should benefit the whole humanity, overall society also. It's not the imbalanced growth I'm talking about. Lapsity. You understand, overall growth. Of course, this is SC Dubé. Of course, we emphasize, that in the beginning we spoke about him. It is for this reason that socialization, that as education, that education becomes one of the important agents of socialization. It's a tool, that assumes greater relevance, that in the East. We emphasize more this education for life, especially, that the long lasting education we emphasize. It's not for mere, that the career oriented, mere, that is, it's a learning. It's a cradle to grave process. Even there is a saying, my mom used to say, even Saraswati is learning even today. Knowledge is ocean. My mom used to, that. So you just imagine, even Saraswati is learning. So on the day of, I don't know how it is right. Maybe let me respect, my words of my mom. On the day of Saraswati Puja, Saraswati is learning. You should not learn, that you submit all your important books to for prayer. She used to tell me, Saraswati is learning, that. I take her words, with spirit. I realize that, well, I mean, that such is lifelong process, cradle to grave process. It is the ever learning mechanism. You learn, you unlearn, you relearn, you socialize, you re-socialize. That is what life we are talking about. And one, sociology, of course, Malvika Karlekar, according to that particular sociologist, guaranteed education doesn't guarantee gender equality. That's what I spoke. In the West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, what happened? The literacy among Muslim women is high, but their economic participation is poor. It's not only here, in the Middle East, the Islam, the low status of women. Of course, that it's not, because they've got Sharia, they will say. But you see, fortunately, Saudi Arabia has given driving license to women recently. They should come forward. Of course, work forward in favor of, a lot of Muslim nations coming forward. They've gone for reformation. You might be aware, that. So what it, even in India, the triple talaq we done away with through Supreme Court, judgment. You might be aware. We are taking a lot of steps. You might be aware. So it is that way, Saksa we are talking about, according to another sociologist, tribal youth get educated in the hope of gainful employment, but lack of opportunities. What happened? They get disillusioned. Ultimately, they indulge in all criminal activities. That they fall prey to all those, insurgent operations in that northeastern region. You might be aware what's happening. They're misled. What's happening in Jammu Kashmir? The religious fundamentalism. The people brainwashed there. When I visited Jammu, one girl confronted me saying that you Indian, she said. You Indians are always speaking. Then I asked, are you preparing for Pakistan Civil Service? One girl confronted me, the class. Then other students came and, consoled me. Sir, they are like that. Don't talk to them, sir. In Srinagar, there were a lot of confrontations like that. Because they were taught, they are brought up in such a way. India has taken away your land. They are socialized in such a way. India is your enemy, like that. I witnessed personally in Jammu, that, but it's fortunately there were, around majority students came and told me, sir, don't talk to them. They'll be like that. They will never understand. So misled youth, brainwashed youth, you might be aware. We are talking about, so that's, that Zaksa we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, that this is fantastic, that I think, IGNO material, even Kumaraswamy, the very ideals, for meaningful education, I copied from IGNO only. For your kind information, you got a lot of materials in IGNO. You go for, education and social change, and even NCRTs, you got a lot of, that articles also, part of net. You can search, ladies and gentlemen. And also, that we can have separate session for new education policy. There may be question this year. People who write mains, you definitely will get question based on that. I need separate session to discuss all those important aspects of new education policy 2020. I touched, simply, you might be aware. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is fantastic, that we discuss, hitherto about, that the role of education and how it acts as an instrument or agent of social change in India, change in culture, change in structure, change in function. you can link, and various sociologists. And also we brought in, that Mahatma Gandhi ji, and also, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, and apart from that, various sociologists, that we introduce you, that to support, and also, that education and equality, and also, that how, that education responsible for social change, we proved with the previous questions. Now I think, it is the right time for you to see the question. Education is often viewed as an agency of social change. However, in reality, it could also reinforce inequalities, because we supplied information how, that the very education is responsible for inequalities and conservatism. That education, how, that once again, same spirit with another question, that now you can answer. But we will be discussing, that various questions part of sociology separately, well. I think, I address the relevant part, what is social change, and also, that the global peace is possible by educating the young children according to Mahatma Gandhi. And also we invited Dr. Kalam parallelly to corroborate that viewpoint, and various, that the spirited, that statements according to Mahatma Gandhi I shared directly with you. And also, that Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, how education facilitates as a tool, as an agent of social change, that we spoke. And the various points we brought, the structural functionalism school of thought, that Emile Durkheim and Talcott Parson also, and also Kingsley Davis Wilbert Moore, how, that they played, that the positive role in social change we spoke. And also the liberal the views, the values, of course, self-orientation, individualism, achievement, competition, universalism, innovation, conformity to legal provisions of society, and equality possible because of this, that education as an agent of, that social change we are talking about. And also, that parallelly reinforcement of hierarchy and inequality, that's according to this gentleman, of course, sociologist Pierre Bourdieu we are talking about, we spoke. And education, in what way it promotes social mobility. And also, that the Andre Bitel's version, how family, kinship, religion, and cultural variables responsible in putting, the kids into school, then, that other aspirations. That's fantastic. That talking about, that's according to Andre Bitel sociologists, you might be aware how Marx is contradicting the view, that it becomes yet another tool of exploitation. And also feminist theory, mentioning the patriarchal domain in education institution domination. And also how socioeconomic background of students influencing their, the career prospects, that are a roadmap of education, you might be aware how, in what way education promotes equality, how inequality itself, created by the very education. We discuss all those points, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way, of course, that I think, you would have benefited more, that. And also various sociologists like S.C. Dubey, whose Gorakhpur case study, people from rural background, how they achieved in life, cutting across various, professionals, professional life. And also Kumaraswamy's ideals of, that the meaningful education we discussed at length also. And also, that the Malvika Karlekar, and the guaranteed education doesn't guarantee gender equality. It could be, that essay topic also. It sounds great. And also, that with that title you can frame the question also. And how tribal people, even I said how, the misled Jammu Kashmir people, though they are educated, but how contaminated they are, not participating in the mainstream, that Indian nationalism, you might be aware. They are misled, you might be aware. And how they underwent after abrogation of Article 370, how they would have become militant by this time, I believe. Of course, the various materials, the IGNOU materials, NCRTs, and other articles available in the ladies and gentlemen. I think I supplied enough, that materials relevant for this topic. That I think I would have made, that valuable difference in your understanding. That I become your foundation. You can build superstructure based on that particular understanding, ladies and gentlemen. So welcoming you once again to Unacademy, and this is Success Sampath for interactive with you, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, please use my referral code, say success, to avoid maximum 10% discount. Ladies and gentlemen, this is fantastic. That I appreciate your patience and hope you would have benefited out of my, that interaction with you. I would have made your time worthwhile, I believe. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the right time. That of course it is Success Sampath signing off from you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Let's meet tomorrow, same time, with another topic. Thank you so much. Yes. Stop stream. Stop recording. Happening.